So the first thing to keep in mind is that the eye is a round object. It's a round object usually with a light source. Remember how we did the shapes, the sphere shape? So this is it's the same. So you have to picture it like an object that's round like this. And one of the things is, you may wonder, how do I draw a perfect circle, right? Well, especially, you may not have to draw the whole eyeball like that. Probably won't. But you'll certainly have to draw the iris and the pupil, and they'll have to be perfectly circular. And the way to do that is practice. So that's essentially how you do it. Practice. So something like this, you would have to blend. And it's like I mentioned, it's just like the sphere that we did earlier. Okay. Now, I might do more detail to that later, but essentially what my point is that it's like a sphere, and you have to treat it like that. The second thing is there's the circle. Let's say the iris and the pupil. I always recommend, when you're drawing eyes like this, to always draw it through if you can. If there's any doubt whether this iris is perfectly round or not, I would try to connect it through, because sometimes people do eyes like this, and then the iris is like that, or the pupil is not centered. So the thing is that you have to, one, make the pupil centered, and then two, see, if you follow these lines through like that, they're pointy, right? That's why it doesn't look circular. So that's why it helps to draw it through, and then that's one way to make sure that you get a perfect circle. Now, there are a couple of other things to keep in mind. With most eyes, you're going to have that upper fold in the eyes. There's the part here that there's sleep in the eyes, and then there's a little fleshy area here. There's also a rim that you often see in eyes. There's a rim, and that shows the thickness. It shows the thickness. This is the rim right here, between that line and this line. Okay, it shows the thickness of the skin around the eye. Okay, and then there's going to be the eyebrows. The eyelashes. Okay, and if they're a woman's eyes, they're often going to be thicker and longer. Okay, and observe your light source. Sometimes there's going to be a shadow cast over the eye because of the upper eyelid, and then there's the highlights of the eyes. Okay, so these are some of the components. There's that extra wrinkle there, the eyelashes, the iris, the pupil, and then often one or two reflections. Sometimes the reflection in the pupil is the same as the reflection in the iris. So you'll see them doubled up. They're very interesting. You can look in sometimes in fashion magazines, they have close-ups, and you can notice that. And then there's like the little sleep area where sleep collects during the night, and then there's the little space here, the thickness of the skin, and then there's usually an extra wrinkle here underneath. It's the same fold as the one above. But then, when the eye closes, that fold doesn't really appear as thick. So the eye closes like this, and then it looks something like that when the eye is closed. Okay? And then the nose is going to be fairly close. But we'll try to cover some of that when we actually copy from a photograph. Now the next thing I just want to mention is the angle of the iris. You'll notice in photographs, one, in a profile view, the eye is kind of at a 30-degree angle. So the eye is kind of like this. Okay. So that's one thing you might notice in certain profile views, that this upper eyelid overlaps the lower eyelid at about approximately 30-degree angle. Sometimes less, sometimes more, but you'll notice that. Okay. Also, when the eye is looking up, let's say you got a view like this, the iris compresses or squishes or widens. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, so the eye is looking up like this. We have a bottom view and we're looking up, and so everything is compressed like that, like this. Okay, so keep that in mind, because when it's forward, it's obviously like this, but when we have a top view like that, it's like this, and when it's a side view, it's compressed like that. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. And let's see. And I think that's about it for now. So these are just some pointers about the angle of the eye in portrait. In side view, and then the angle of the iris and the pupil when the eye is looking in different directions or our view is from a different angle.